Hello students, you're on to Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. I remain your literature teacher, and today we want to look at a non-African drama titled Look Back in Anger, like you can see on the screen.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
We are going to be focusing on characters, specifically a particular WAEC question, Cliff's treatment of Allison. Cliff's treatment of Allison in Look Back in Anger. And in the course of the teaching, you'll get to learn more about other characters and themes. Okay, so at the end of the lesson, you'll be able to discuss the relationship between Cliff and Allison, and of course, you'll be able to identify major themes in the play. Let's go ahead. So here's a short background to the drama, or to the non-African drama. Look Back in Anger is a modernist play and a kitchen sink drama. What do I even mean by kitchen sink? Kitchen sink drama are plays that discusses the happenings around the social life of people and families in the British society then. And of course, that mirrors the life of the angry young man. You discover that that is in quotation mark. The angry young man in the post-World War British society. Jimmy Potter, of course, represents this group. So when we talk about the angry young man, who do we refer to? After the Second World War, there was a lot of displacement of people. A lot of people lost their jobs, and there was a need to create, more jobs and educational opportunities. Now, these opportunities were spread widely. Young men were able to go to school, but there's disillusionment. People went to school, but could not get a job. And these men became nuisance in the society or in the community. They decided to form or get a group that they call the angry young men in the British society then. This text actually represents that category of men in the person and character of Jimmy Potter. Okay? The themes of love, secrecy, friendship, and trust is portrayed in this play. Now, you will observe that I started out by telling you a little bit about the drama or the play. This is the way to start when you want to answer a question. Now, I have presented to you some themes. The themes of love, secrecy, friendship, and trust. These themes are the themes that are peculiar to the question that was asked. Don't forget the question. The question says, discuss the relationship or Cliff's treatment of Allison. How does Cliff treat Allison? So now you see the next thing was to talk about some characters. Cliff is a good friend to both Jimmy and Allison, who serves as a connection that unites both of them. Now, you have read the text, and by now you should know that Jimmy and Allison are not seriously connected to each other, because it's one fight or the other. They are really not good together. Their marriage, of course, was just a shot of emotions, and we could see the aftermath experience right in the marriage. Okay, let's talk more about Cliff. Now, here I'm doing what I call character identification. This is a different paragraph. So this is an exact pattern of answering questions in your exam. Now look at Cliff is Jimmy's friend and partner in the candy stall business. And then he shares the porter's flat, although he has his own bedroom across the hall. What have I just done? I have told you his role. When you do character identification, you must, first of all, tell us the role of the character, and then go ahead to tell us the traits or the character traits, that is, his attributes. Cliff is Jimmy's friend and partner in the candy stall business. Okay, and he shares the porter's flat, although he has his own bedroom across the hall. Cliff is a poorly educated, working class man of Welsh heritage. When you say Welsh, what do we mean? We mean it's somebody from Wales, the country Wales. So that's where Cliff hails from. He's poorly educated. He's of the working class. Of course, we know that he works at the sweet stall business, where Jimmy's sweet stall business, that Miss Uj opened for him. Now, he's warm, he's loving. Now, you can see we are talking about the traits now. He's warm, loving, and humorous, quite funny. In fact, he likes to get along and just play with people. In the opening scene of the play, you remember where Jimmy and Cliff were reading the papers while Allison was ironing at the ironing board, and they began to, fight and play humorously, joke about things that are obtainable in the British society then, as they read from the newspapers or the Sunday papers. All right, finally on Cliff, he is warm, loving, and humorous. He genuinely loves Allison, but he adjusts when she leaves and Elena moves in. We have read the text, and you will be able to testify that apart from just friendship, there's this kind of connection that Cliff has with Allison. We're going to see more as we continue in answering the question. All right? Okay, so let's talk about Allison a little. Allison is the daughter of Colonel Redfern and wife to Jimmy Potter. That's part of her role. She's tall, slim, and dark. As a matter of fact, the playwright describes her as having a bone face, long and delicate. She has very large eyes and very deep. According to the writer, she has a disturbing quietness, very similar to that of Cliff, which the dramatist described as almost going into lethargy. And lethargic means always quite very withdrawn and reclusive. Okay? She allows her friend to stay in their apartment without her husband's permission. That's one of the things that she did that's very highly significant to the development of the plot. She loses her baby and almost lost her husband to her friend. Of course, her friend is Elena. All right, let's go ahead, having heard enough about the characters in question. First, let's look at, we're about to develop other paragraphs now. I've dealt with the themes, we have dealt with the character identification. It's time to move into the answer to the question properly. First, Jimmy's often frustration makes Allison a victim of his verbal abuses. So this is where the conflict starts. This is the real conflict of the play, where Jimmy is always disturbing and threatening people's peace in the house, not just Allison's, even Cliff's sometimes, although humorously and jokingly. We know that he's a frustrated person, even from the title of the text. Look back in anger, he's angry. We're going to look at why he is angry. Why is Jimmy angry? Jimmy is angry first because of the disillusionment in the British society. No jobs. Men are allowed to go to school, finish school, and then just come to sit at something that you never had interest in, like the sweet stall. And then, secondly, how degrading it is to have spent your life working for the government and then be treated as nothing afterwards because you do not belong to a certain class. That is the situation of Jimmy's father. Jimmy's father fought in the World War and he developed some injuries and was sick for a long time, but was not given proper attention by the government till he died. At the age of 10, he watched his father die. And that has contributed to his frustration, seriously. So pathetic. But Cliff, who is a cool and loving man, don't forget we are looking at Cliff's treatment of Allison. But Cliff, who is a cool and loving man, defends Allison all the time. A very good example was when Jimmy taunts Allison while she was pressing her clothes, and Cliff wants Jimmy to leave the girl alone. And Cliff therefore treats Allison like a precious jewel, a woman who should not be hurt. And this reflects the theme of love. Love. Don't forget that I told you that we are going to learn some themes as we go ahead in this class. Okay, let's look at the next paragraph. Another beautiful instance is when Cliff kisses Allison and fondles with her hair. That shows that there is something very, 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 very strong bringing Allison and Cliff together. However, when through the voice of Elena, when Elena asks Allison if anything was going on, Allison confirms that they were just friends and that there was actually nothing. Even though the closeness and these exhibitions, amorous exhibitions like touching, fondling, pecking from time to time it's very recurrent between Allison and Jimmy. There was a declaration that it was merely friendship. And this also touches on the theme of platonic friendship. Okay, then we also have another paragraph and another instance when Cliff, okay, we've done that. Now, Maso, unlike Jimmy, who cares less about the physical needs of Allison, Cliff feels responsible for her physical health and well-being. When Jimmy and Cliff get into a scuffle and Cliff falls upon Allison and Allison gets her arm burnt by the iron, Cliff rushes to get soap water to mitigate the pain. You remember that situation, and does it with utmost care. This shows that Cliff does not only see Allison as his friend's wife, but as his family. So here we are able to connect that Cliff is really, really, really thoughtful, quiet, gentle, and loving. But despite that, there was an extension of love, a kind of family love extended to Allison, and really not a sexual love at that. And of course, we also see that his treatment of women generally is cool, calm, nice, and welcoming. Now, we also have another paragraph where I try to summarize everything. And I said, revealing the theme of trust and loyalty, Cliff is obviously Allison's confidant because she feels comfortable to reveal to him that she is pregnant instead of telling her husband, Jimmy. And of course, this exposes the theme of secrecy. Secrecy. Now, Allison could not tell Jimmy that she was pregnant because she knew that first, Jimmy was not ready for it. Next is that Jimmy is an often frustrated man, and she's not sure how Jimmy would have reacted to that news. The only person she was really comfortable with to share that news was Cliff. This shows that Cliff had now even become more of a confidant than just a friend. or a friend to her husband. Okay? And of course, this shows or reveals the theme of secrecy or secret, love or secret attention. And this is very common to the 1950s and 1950s British family, especially in kitchen sink dramas. Okay. Now it's a conclusion. In conclusion, Jimmy's treatment of Allison is more or less like his own wife. Even though based on Allison's disclaimer, we discover that their relationship is merely platonic. There was nothing more. In actual fact, it pained Cliff when Allison left the house. When she left on the basis that she has been prone to serious maltreatment lately. And we remember that it was Elena who called Colonel Redfriend, Allison's father, to come and see what's going on, and before she decides to leave the house. And we saw the reaction of Cliff, not really happy with Elena's stay and the decision for Allison to leave the house. He wasn't happy. But we could have judged that probably he had some sexual affiliations to his attachment or to his love for Allison. But we found out that there was really nothing sexual about them, especially for the fact that after a while, Cliff declares to Jimmy that he was going to move on. He was going to look for something else to do with his life, and he could not just stay in that one position forever. All right. So we have answered that question, and this brings us to the end of this class. So if you have questions, if you have comments, please don't hesitate to reach us on our handles displayed on the screen. Thank you.
Acing your WAEC and NECO examinations has been made easy by the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education with the Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO Candidates television program. Join seasoned teachers as they take you through these core subjects, targeting the exact syllabus of WAEC and NECO. Watch Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates through these social media platforms to access more educational content and give their feedback. Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Pass your examinations with flying colors.